What up, random rockers? X-Men Apocalypse. I seen it 2 days ago to a couple of my subscribers. One of them specifically. Had fun, man. Whatever. Do it again. All that stuff. And, I don't know if he'll be watching, but my other buddy, turns out that was the Michael Jackson Thriller jacket that you praised so much for Nightcrawler. Yes, this thing will be somewhat spoiler heavy, and I will say, I agree with a particular reviewer named Chris Stuckman. I do not understand why this movie's mixed. I really don't. I mean, does it have flaws? Sure, but they're so few and far between. The most noticeable one would have to be, in terms of continuation, would be them kind of throwing in the certain cameo that I will get into later. But other than that, this movie it's pretty damn fucking good, and I just don't understand why it deserved all this stuff. And there was some bitching about something that turned out to be one of the best developments throughout the movie and possibly throughout the entire film franchise for these characters, and that was Magneto. I get the fact that we all know, and that's kind of probably part of one of the many stupid bitching reasons why people gave it mixed reviews, and that was because, we all already know how fucked up his life is, but the way they handled this, the way they execute this is fucking brilliant, and to finally give Magneto some good character development that maybe not even the great Sir Ian McKellen wasn't able to fully do, or be allowed to do, I guess, with the way things were with Fox back then, I guess. It was just wonderful, especially with how they handled the death of these characters that we barely even knew enough of, but we were attached enough to Magneto, to the Fassbender's Magneto, to really sink our teeth into this, and almost somewhat like an Oscar-worthy performance, potentially. But with the way the film's critics are going over it, it's just so stupid. Other than, I mean, I enjoyed this film. Apocalypse, I see why some people complain. Like, at the end of the day, it was a little underwhelming. It was just sort of, bitching about trying to make the world a better place, but more for his own ego, to stroke his own ego, I guess. And it wasn't as nearly as much of a presence as they did with him for like the cartoons and stuff in the 90s. But he worked well enough and enough to get to something we'll get to later in this review. So I'm just going to do this now. Spoilers, guys. I will say, first of all, this film rocks, but spoilers. Alright. It's okay. Psylocke and Archangel, though great, they weren't really developed much outside of like their abilities, and how they were handled for the characters that they were actually pretty damn solid. They have those down pat, but in terms of actual character development, they never bothered with it. They were just second-rate things, and I don't understand why Olivia Munn is like, oh no, we're going to Timber stress. Well, Bachran got a lot more development as a character, though, than you did in this movie. So, I mean, you got what you wanted to have some badass fight scenes and everything, but they weren't really the cream of the crop of the entire movie, so you just kind of... But, of course, you did well enough that they wanted to keep you around, So, of course, we see you walk off near the end, so we might see you in the next X-Men movie. Other than that, she was alright. The way they handled Angel, or Archangel now, which I loved how they introduced them, and they used the Four Horsemen track from Kill 'Em All from Metallica, because Four Horsemen, from their debut album Kill 'Em All, was perfectly done since that was the final full development of the Four Horsemen Apocalypse for what they were developing for them at that time in the movie. And it worked, which worked fine. It was a nice callback. Not a huge Metallica fan, but the old stuff is pretty fucking solid. So it was good use of it. So anyway, speaking of Metallica, they're supposed to have a new album out. I don't know if I will be reviewing it, guys. We'll see what happens. But anyway, yes, Easter eggs. The one thing that was disappointing about this was Jubilee was not given, like, they kind of had a scene that we were going to show her using her powers, but they put that on the cutting room floor. Another thing was a cameo that was kind of like a photobombing sort of cameo where of the character Dazzler, which turns out would be portrayed via album cover via Taylor Swift. Really? Really? You were thinking Taylor Swift, having Taylor Swift in this, involved in this franchise? Oh, God. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. Or Singer, I should say. But, Singer knows how to pick up this franchise. But I will say, the one thing with the mall, I love that shot. With the whole reference towards how let's just face it, the third film's always the worst. Huge, kind of very meta, in a way, taking the meta aspect cues that you probably get out of Deadpool, but not like a wink wink so much at the audience, so much as the audience finally. that was just solid, guys. That was just solid. Good use of a Star Wars reference. Great use of mentioning the Brett Ratner piece of crap that was Last Stand, and almost mentioning like this movie is not going to be, also kind of hinting at this movie not being nearly as good, but the fact that you even point that out, be as good as the last two films we got from them with First Class and Days of Future Past, but it's still pretty damn good, and pointing that out was enough to just make it for far more all the worthwhile. And I think the thing is, you still probably need to see all of the movies, even the other ones, which that kind of just makes Days of Future Past a little bit. What Days of Future Past did still seem a little. I think Singer wanted to do it this way because he wanted for the cameo thing. Which is the whole point of, like, especially the end thing, which you could just ignore the fact of the Mystique guys at the end of Days of Future Past, because that clearly, and just may mean that it would have actually been Stryker who actually got him. If you know what I'm talking about Weapon X, aka Logan, aka mother effing Wolverine, which I think people already knew that who've seen the trailers. Those who didn't got lucky and got a big old treat. Which is why they did this, I think, rated R, so that because of this scene, which kind of pumps me up to see what we're going to get for the final Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman, and the way they set up the post-credits scene, too, with the potential of us maybe getting X-23, because they took his sample of his blood, of his own blood, and they're probably and all these other potential clones that they'll have. It's going to be awesome, guys. It's just, wow. I will say, Quicksilver, again, we got a lot more of him. We got a lot more development out of him. The only thing we didn't get that was just such a pain in the ass was that he didn't bother to tell Magneto he's his son. It would have been a great development, but they felt as though it would have taken away from Quicksilver's character and just been more of a little plot and character development device for Magneto. It's the only logic I could see of why they did what they did, but it still doesn't stop it from being frustrating when it's like that was just. And he said, and though I will say, Storm had a little bit of a development, with her character, which was still nice, and it was I will. That was just awesome. It was a lot of Magneto's development was probably very highly was great. The scene was took the scene that they did in Furious and Future Past for Quicksilver was amplified tenfold in this film, and the whole thing with the apocalypse scene I didn't really see coming, even though I think some people were that were smarter enough about it wondered about the same thing. However, there was another thing about the cameo that we might get. I mean, the way they hinted this off. I mean, Cyclops, Ty Sheridan was great in Mud. He's and apparently he did a movie with Nicolas Cage. That was probably the last good movie we ever got to see of Nicolas Cage. I forgot what they called it, but that was awesome. Um, the Sophie Turner, Sansa Stark herself, as Jean Grey. Yeah, if I seen that shit, I'd understand why Wolverine would have an affinity for redheads. As in, that whole scene was also was pretty damn good. Nightcrawler, thank God they did the prayer. Thank God we get to see him like throughout the movie. I was wondering, I was like, is he actually going to show his Catholic roots for a little bit here? I mean, where's like he did in the second X-Men 2? It's like, where's the prayer coming in? It's like, dang, and that was during the scene where they got stuck in the damn helicopter. It was like, thank God. There was my prayers were answered for that one. And which he was funny. He was still quite the swashbuckler, as like he is, and of course the Catholic roots they did Nightcrawler justice again, and I'm glad they did it. And other than that, guys, let's see. The Essex Corp thing was the briefcase, meaning Nathaniel Essex, which means Mr. freaking Sinister. I'm looking forward already to '90s movie. The thing I don't understand is I thought they were going to kill off Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. I thought they were going to do that from the way the trailers hinted at it because of the way they said that Jennifer Lawrence would no longer be Mystique, but yet they didn't do that, which is why I don't understand it. So they guess they're recasting Mystique, which seems a little dumb at this point since we're already attached to to her Mystique, or it's like Jennifer Lawrence is going to have to get over the fact that she needs to start utilizing the prosthetics a little more. Though I did like how they justified it for the movie in terms of the script. And that was that she basically didn't want to be that figure that she was after Days of Future Past. So that's why she went back to being in her human form. She didn't want to be that, that iconic figure that she was to other mutants. She's just mostly a lone wolf, but she had to learn to deal with that. And she was kind of the thing that actually helped pull Magneto's head out of his ass, even though Quicksilver could have been the real catalyst to do that, but that didn't happen. Other than that, guys, this film is... I mean, I gotta get going to work now, so... Yeah. A lot of cameos. I mean, the possibilities are endless right now with the way they're going to handle this. Hopefully a lot of 90s nostalgia for the next film they'll do. And hopefully maybe Sister Sinister will play a part in Cable's backstory, which we'll get via Deadpool, which will be nice as well. Just have him tie everything together would be great. And Phoenix. Fucking Phoenix Force. Holy shit. Maybe we might get a good Phoenix saga from Singer now and make up for what happened with Ratner. That would be awesome too. Other than that, guys, what did you think of X-Men Apocalypse? Comment below. What do you think of this video? Rock that like button. Thrust if you must. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I'll see you guys next time.